Yo, what is up, everyone? Welcome back to the Hustle Path, the podcast where we dive deep into real, unfiltered stories behind success in business, finance, and entrepreneurship. I'm your host, Pritam Saha, a high school student passionate about building and making moves early. Today, I'm sitting down with Daniel, an entrepreneur, a pilot, and someone who's been hustling across finance, leadership, and more. Daniel, super hyped to have you here, bro. Let's jump right in. For
Yeah, for
those who
sure.
might not know you yet, what are you working on these days and how would you sum your story up?
Yeah, I guess what I'm mostly doing over the past month is I'm the director general at Ariston Advisory. So definitely working a lot within like clients. Specifically right now, we're working on a private equity case, so we're doing a lot of industry analysis and kind of just like looking at trends. So what we're kind of seeing in this world 10 years from now. And then I obviously am working at Wall Street Elite LLC as a financial analyst. So we're right now finishing up on some client files. And to top it all off, kind of like my busy week, I also kind of work with the city's advisory team. So I've been holding a lot of meetings talking about how can I advocate for youth specifically within doing exactly what you're doing and getting more youth involved within entrepreneurship. How can we eliminate these barriers? And I did some pilot training stuff. The manuals changed a little bit, but yeah, quite a few things within consulting, finance, stuck in meetings and exams, I guess.
That's really nice, man. You're in secondary school, right? Or
Yeah.
so what is that equivalent to high school? Like, is it like high school in America or
Yeah, it's basically high school. It's like my board just likes to rename everything to secondary school. I don't
so
know
is it
why.
like 12th grade, like senior year, or are you like a
Yeah,
junior?
like 12th grade is like senior. Yeah, it's basically that. My board specifically just like to rename everything. I don't know
Uh,
why.
okay. All right, man.
Yeah.
So I like to separate this podcast into three different parts. First, your origin story, how it all got started, and what
hmm
pushed you into entrepreneurship and leadership. Second, we're going to go over the hustle and mindset, what the grind really looks, and the lessons you've learned from it. And finally, man, we're going to go over what's next, your goals for the future, and like tips for anyone that's trying to get started like me, because I'm really interested in this career pathway.
Yeah.
So, sounds good?
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So, origin story. What were you like growing up? Were you always into chasing big dreams or did that like big ideas or did that like come later on?
Yeah, for sure. So I guess kind of how I was like when I was growing up. Um, I just didn't care honestly about anything. Um, like what I meant by that is just that like especially within like elementary school, and really leading up to my time in high school, which I guess is middle school for those in the United States is I just really didn't care. My mindset was just that, well, no one cares. I'll just do it anyways. So I guess I had like a very freestyle kind of mindset. I was like, I'll just climb the ladder. Who cares? What are they gonna do about me? Didn't really care about school. Um, yeah, that was a fun moment to have with your Asian parents being like, yeah, you're
Yeah.
failing school a little bit. Um, so I guess my entire mindset during childhood was just like, I don't care. What are they gonna do about me? And now I like entered into high school. And when you enter into high school, like everybody kind of like knows what they're doing in a way. They're like, I specifically want to be a doctor. I want to be an engineer. So when I started, I wanted to become a doctor actually because I come from like a family of engineers,
Yeah.
and my sister is on that medicine track. So I was like, I'll just follow my sister down and be a doctor. So I did a bunch of extracurriculars, like I did HOSA, I joined a bunch of random medicine clubs. And then it was at that one time where I started my first organization, which was like Uniting Health Canada,
Mm.
which is all about like bridging healthcare inequalities. And I loved doing that so much. And for a while, for like a year, I was like, oh, I want to do medicine. I love what I do at that organization. Um, but kind of like realizing, especially when I took business classes about entrepreneurship and finance and consulting, I realized I actually hated being a doctor. I was like, yeah, that's not for me. But I love the entrepreneurship and business side of it.
Yeah.
Um, I love how it's like an ever-changing environment.
Yeah.
As we know right now within the financial world,
Yeah.
it changes a lot. You see
Yeah.
a lot of there are a lot of highs and lows. Um, and yeah, that's kind of my origin story. I was basically didn't really care, didn't think about much. It's only when I decided to start something for fun
Mm.
that I realized that business is kind of what I'm actually interested in, and
Yeah.
kind of led me from there to make me passionate, I guess, what I do every day and wake up to at least have something positive to say that at least I'm putting in my efforts into something that I will probably be doing 20 years from now.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. So, how old are you? Are you 18, 17?
I'm actually 16.
That's really impressive,
Yeah.
man. So, do you like take courses in school that teach you about banking and all this consulting stuff, or did you like watch YouTube videos, watch people, and like got motivation from those type of
Yeah,
stuff?
for sure. So here's my little opinion about kind of like high school education. It's kind of useless in a
Yeah.
way. I have to say that. Like, I know you would agree with this on me, but honestly, your grades do not determine anything. Well, they kind of determine something, but within this whole world, it's useless, honestly. Like
Yeah.
those courses like Introduction to Business, Introduction to Marketing, Accounting 101, it's like a good base, but I mean, like you're spending months on something you can learn on the internet or can learn from your own experience. So, kind of how I already learned about consulting and learned about finance and kind of been able to do like the roles I hold now. Um, a lot of it comes down to my own experience and also just YouTube and the internet. So after Uniting Health Canada, I started a bunch of other organizations, partially because I also get bored real quickly
Yeah.
and I need something to do all day.
Yeah.
So I started Canada Future Focus. I started Richmond Hill Curious. All within a 6-ish month period. And then I'll say when you're like regularly put under that process of continuously filling out paperwork, continuously doing hiring, continuously doing marketing, and always kind of starting from zero again across different focus from healthcare to business to immigration to policies and working within government bodies, you learn kind of each little niche, what requires within marketing, what the world is like in that. So, and over time for all of that, I built traction. So like other people come over to me for help. They'll be like, how do I get funding? How do I apply for these grants? Should I hire my friend or should I actually hire someone fairly? Um, and then over time, I got more used to giving advice, and I also built up more experience in my own organizations. And then specifically over time, when I was also meeting friends who were starting businesses, and I was kind of helping them internally, that I learned a lot about different industries from ventures and specifically like different types of ventures, different business formats, different organization formats, different
Yeah.
nonprofit specialties. And really also reflecting and being like, why are they coming to me for help in a way? Like, shouldn't there be someone there to help them? Where I realized that, well, no one's actually there to help them. So that's why I started the consulting firm and took over that. In terms of finance, as like and what finance is notorious known as is
Yeah.
that it is like a knowledge heavy sort of career path.
Yeah.
You can kind of learn from experience, but when sometimes within, especially I guess investment banking as a whole, you kind of don't want to be telling that person, this is kind of my first time doing it. I don't know what I'm doing. So you're in good hands with your company. Um, Honestly, YouTube. When I was like reaching out to people, for example, who currently work within investment banking and private equity, who have done this in the past, they're like, yeah, you do need to know something. So a lot of YouTube, for example, these like you Google stuff like how do I build a DCF? Basic Excel shortcuts 101.
Yeah.
And how do you actually read the stock market in a way and what all those numbers mean. So yeah, I would say a lot of the stuff I learned is just plainly just experience in the internet, like school.
Yeah.
No offense, it's useless.
Yeah.
It's like I'm just wasting my time there sometimes.
Yeah. So you don't think like target schools are like important, right? You think like you could go to any school, but it's just the work and like effort you put in to what you're building, right? That's what you're saying.
I mean, like, I'm just like within high school education alone, I
Yeah.
think it's useless.
Yeah.
When it comes to in the sense of building companies, like please stay in school, don't just drop out at like 14. But when it comes to like these target schools, the main thing is always just they built up a reputation. Like when I speak to people from in Canada, our target schools are Western University's Richard Ivey School of Business and Queen Smith School of Business. Obviously targets, they're great for connections. They have a great reputation. And the reason behind that is kind of the way they learn in a
Mm.
way. So for example, like I sat in a few like classes at the Queen Smith School of Business. I have friends go to the Western Ivy School of Business, those two target schools within Canada. The way you learn things there is actually really helpful and a lot more
Mm.
transformative than what you're learning at, I'm guessing, other not semi-targets or just non-target
Yeah.
schools. But it's basically just like, in a way, education can only go so far because at the end of the day, they have to follow curriculum, they have to follow specific guidelines and check boxes.
Yeah.
But when you go kind of the real world, in the sense that when you're starting your own company, when you're working within consulting, or when you're working within finance or any sort of client cases,
Yeah.
um, yeah, no one can prepare you for that because there's so many variables. But they're great getting your foundation in
Yeah.
within those target schools, but high school as a whole, it's useless.
Yeah.
Half the time you'll learn kind of what to be thinking of and kind of different cases you see now and how the market's going just by sheer experience and just talking to people.
Yeah. So you're from Canada, right?
Yeah.
So do you ever like so are you like interested in consulting, investment banking, and do you ever like see yourself in like America, or are you like gonna go to a target school there or yeah, in Canada, basically?
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, it's kind of like the big question, everybody is asking is like, are you consulting or finance? And honestly, I would say right now, for my personal preference, I would say it's hard to decide. I do both simultaneously. So it's like, I don't know, like I love both what I do. There's a reason why I'm still kind of in this industry as a whole.
Yeah.
Um, I would say both have its unique challenges and both unique
Mhm.
expertise. Finance, I would say, is that it's a little bit more dramatic in the way,
Yeah.
especially within the day.
Yeah.
Especially as we know right now in 2025, globally,
Yes.
it's not stable at
Yeah.
all. Messages you get, emails you get, it's like watching a fight not gonna
Yeah.
unfold. And within consulting is once again, it builds off of that uncertainty. It builds off of that. Am I going to lose my job? So I started my own company and I don't know what I'm doing. Every client represents a unique case. Consulting is obviously more about executive decisions and thinking more than within, I guess, money.
Yeah.
You're often thinking of five different lenses. So you're thinking of an executive lens, you're thinking of the customer lens, you're thinking of that employee lens. Um, so you really get a holistic view, and it's definitely helpful when you're like for me, when I'm doing my own organizations, I'm like, well, in consulting, I'm looking at these perspectives. Now I know when I'm doing it, I am also need to be looking at these perspectives in a way to make these accurate decisions. Um, Finance, it definitely helps within kind of as well overall, just like your future in a way.
His
Like
future.
you learn a
Yeah.
lot about investing, the
Yeah.
more than I ever learned up from school. Um, so yeah, as of right now, because like yeah, I'm only
Yeah.
16. I still have a year left of high school till I graduate. I'll just keep my options open for both.
Mm.
I'll see what happens, honestly.
Yeah.
Um,
So whenever you like look back, like people say like habit matters. Do you have like a certain routine or like
mhm.
decision from those early days that really set you on this path, or are you just like the go with the flow type of guy?
Yeah, honestly, I would say I'm a bit of both. I would say is that I'm more of a go with the flow kind of guy. I think it really stems from, I guess, my experience. Like as like once again going to the whole financial situation right now. I don't know what's most prevalent, especially from yesterday with the whole Donald Trump and Elon Musk, I guess,
Yeah,
beef with
the
each other,
beef, yeah.
um, you really can't establish and kind of be like, this is my way, we'll just go with it now. You have to go with the flow, but in the sense you have to go with the flow smartly.
Mm.
You like how I do like to do it is that I have a habit of, like I'm not a morning person, so every
Yeah,
successful person,
same.
like I work up at 3 a.m. I'm like, I think I just went to bed at 3 a.m. I'm not waking up at 3 a.m. Is that once I had my coffee or like usually a couple of coffees or energy drinks, depending how tired I am that
Yeah.
day, is I like to have the habit, I guess, of just sitting down and going over kind of three main things I want to complete today. And kind of adopt, I would say now going into another separate industry, which is what you briefly mentioned, my aviation career as a pilot is to
Yeah.
always think about 5 steps ahead of what's going on, is to plan. But when you plan, is to make those educated assumptions and guesses, um, and separate the fact that, okay, today, yeah, I want these three things done. These are the big three things I want done today. But in the off chance this doesn't go well, what happens then? And the off chance this situation happens, which could happen, we never know.
Yeah.
We can put the guess it does happen, and there's reasonable doubt it will happen.
Yeah.
How would I compensate for that situation? And to essentially from there is to kind of have a plan ready, but go with the flow. So I'll guess in a non-financial setting is that's just something as simple as having to go to a conference. But before then, you have another meeting like 20 minutes before, and it's a 30-minute drive, like at a separate random place. Is to look at it.
Yeah.
Well, there's a chance the meeting can get canceled. You never know. Like sometimes
Yeah.
people just don't feel like can cancel it.
Yeah.
There's an odd chance people yap too much and
Yeah.
then it goes to 30 minutes and you're kind of rushing with your AirPods in and you're also just trying to like drive there.
Yeah.
And in the off chance that everything goes perfectly fine, you arrive there on time. And within there is to just make those plans and make those assumptions. And so you go with the flow because obviously with everything, you don't want to be that person that's always stressed,
Yeah.
being like, this is my plan, we're gonna go with it. This is the habit I have. Go with the flow, but honestly, before I like to start is to always just have multiple like plans ready in case these things happen and which can happen. So
Mm.
that's a bit of both. I mostly go with the flow just because I'm
Yeah.
like, I can't remember all this
Yeah.
stuff half the
All right.
time.
We'll move on to the second segment, hustle and mindset. Man, in investment banking and consulting, people work 60 to 80 hours a week. What's like the mindset here? Like, as you said, you plan your week on, and you've been in startups, finance, and leadership. And what do you think actually like makes the project meaningful and sustainable?
Yeah,
Because you're
for
working
sure.
so much a week. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, my like work schedule half the time is like skewed. They're like for example, like sometimes they're like, can you come up for this training session to go fly or can you go instruct today? And I'm like, no, sorry, I'm in meetings all day. Go find someone else. Unfortunately, I can get you someone that'll know to do it. I think honestly, the mindset I have like is to just think optimistically. Um,
Optimistic.
because here's the thing, there's like 50 things that can go wrong in the
Yeah.
world in a way. In your day, it's like in the day, so many things happen, especially I would say is that when you have any sort of extracurricular, you don't have to start your own company. Even if
Yeah.
you're just a general member at like math club or something, so many things happen within your day. Like you trip over something, you get an urgent project to
Yeah.
do, someone like hits you in the face accidentally. Um, is that within those long periods and sometimes stressful periods, people aren't responding. Why is there so much to do? And I don't think I have time to do this. I've never done this before. Why is all this happening at me all hitting at me all at once?
Yeah.
Is to just adopt a mindset I have is that, well, one, everybody deals with this at one point.
Yeah.
And like honestly, like everybody does deal with this. And the second thing is to honestly think within the future and think specifically, well, all this situation has happened now.
Yeah.
Um, the mindset is to kind of manifest, honestly, is that I like to just like manifest or just think of the success that comes from this when
Yeah.
the stressful periods, because we all have those stressful periods.
Yeah.
In a way, like if everything was easy, everybody will be getting investment banking offers,
Yeah.
everybody will be making 7 to 8 figures, but it's not. So and the reason
Yeah.
why is because you're doing hard things like this. Um, so I guess the mindset literally is to have is that, yeah, no one talks about the struggles, but to get to that point, you are going to struggle. And there are many times where you are going to want to resign.
Yeah.
And yeah, I did want to resign from certain things at one point,
Yeah.
which I'm still a part of. But it's to think optimistically, quite literally, is to just manifest. Think about a year from now, or even just a week from now, that you're, I guess that you're less stressed, you're
Yeah.
happier, and that this is going to be your success story a year from now when someone asks you, so how are you so successful in the way, how'd you achieve this goal or how'd you win this award? Well, I had to do a bunch of this stuff.
Yeah.
um and that's literally it, is to just like go in there. um don't ask like why me, why is it so hard, but rather be like, well, you have to do hard things to kind of survive. Not
Yeah.
gonna lie, if you don't do these hard things, you're not going to really get anywhere because you're not learning anything,
Yeah.
you're not gaining any experience, and you're not really making much progress if it isn't hard in a way.
Yeah. I feel like manifesting definitely plays a key part because like you have to like think like if you want it badly, you have to like manifest and like want it. Like you can't just like be like, oh, in a year I'm gonna be like a millionaire, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. Nah, you gotta take the pathway and stuff. So, man,
Yeah.
what are some big mistakes young founders or entrepreneurs tend to make early on from what you've seen? Because me myself, I'm working on a bunch of things like this podcast, right? It's an idea that I
Mm-hmm.
came up with and I want to grow it. And I'm also working on like an agency for real estate agents in my
Mm-hmm.
area to help
Mm-hmm.
promote them. What would you recommend some big mistakes you see for founders and entrepreneurs that make early on?
Mm-hmm. Well, the first thing I have to say is just with the management, because, well, mostly just because before hopping onto this meeting, I was working on a management case, doing all those hiring and numbers and
Yeah.
helping determine it, is to don't hire your friends or family. No, just don't. Please don't.
All right.
Because for anyone that's actually like listening, and for you in general, for anyone that has to start anything or has to be in the position where you get to choose if you should hire or don't hire someone, do you want to work with this guy or not, is to separate your personal life away from your professional life. Many people are like, well, hiring takes too long, there's too many unknowns, there's too many risks, I'll hire my mom, or I'll hire my friend. And that's the biggest mistake I'll say you'll make, because think about it this way, in a way that there will be mess ups,
Yeah.
right? Like,
100%.
let's face it, there will be,
Yeah.
you will fail miserably. There will be times where like, please don't bring that up. That is not a
Yeah.
good moment.
Yeah.
Um, but I would say is that because you feel bad, right? If you say that you messed up, or let's talk about what happened there to
Yeah.
prevent it again. You feel bad when you have to do that to your friends or your family. And also it's the mindset they have is that when is that from the friend's perspective is I'm friends with this person from the get-go. So they'll be more lenient on me. I can relax a little bit. They're like, oh, don't worry, he generally won't notice. I know
Yeah.
him. Um, and it could be good if you're like you have over 500,000 employees, you have so many people working, and then you have such a robust system in place. If you're that 1%, good for you, please hire your friend. But for most people, like, you don't. So I would rather do a smart hiring method, that incorporates a variety of assessments and looking at different lenses,
Yeah.
than just hiring straight out of your friends or family to think that you're reducing risk.
Yeah.
Um, but like advice I have to give, outside of management, the second thing I will have to say to people is to never really say no to something. It's never really
Yeah.
shut a door.
Yeah.
Um, Many people are like, well, I don't think this is a great option right now. Well, I wouldn't say never. It's
Yeah.
not great. It could not be a great fit for you at the moment. But you never know, honestly. Like, it's to never just be like, no, I'll never do it. You will do it. Like, you say never, and
Yeah.
the next thing you know, 2 months later, I'm doing it again.
Yeah.
So is to always keep our options open. And kind of the whole thing within startups and within ventures, and the biggest piece of advice, because there's so many pieces of advice I can give depending on your topic, hiring, like
Yeah.
management side, marketing side, financial side. The biggest thing I will say is to honestly cold message a lot, because network is your net worth,
Yeah.
basically. When you're new, no one knows about you, so you have
Yeah.
to be able to talk to those people. But it's to essentially never, it's to never think that you made it in a way. Um,
Mm.
you always kind of want to have that mindset of that at any moment I could go bankrupt, or at any moment that I could be overtaken or be faced with legal challenges,
Yeah.
or I could be faced with something that I never planned before, and it could literally be the end. And because of that, people start, okay, I'll research contingency plans. I'll research other alternatives. I will research how do I ensure my plan is as future proof as possible. And
Mm.
I think that's the biggest mistake literally people make, is because they're like, well, I reached 2,000 followers. I got a partnership here. I got VC funding from here. I think I'm set for life. You're not set for life.
Yeah.
You completed one stage, but you're not done yet, because while you're doing that, someone else is probably wanting to beat you to whatever
Yeah.
your goal is. Um, and generally people are like, when they reach a target or something they dream of, they just finish it at there, and they
Yeah.
kind of get lazy. Um, and I think just literally the whole thing I'm going to tell people is literally, no matter how big you become, always be under the mindset is that someone's after you, and you always continuously have to keep researching and have a like
Yeah.
second, third, or fourth eye.
The hunter type
Uh,
mindset, right? Just
yeah,
like
exactly.
go
Because
for it.
yeah, because like in business as a whole, yeah, it's kind of how it is. Not gonna lie, you're
Yeah.
always your success and more publicity you gain, the more risk you carry, the more people want to bring you down in a
Yeah.
way. As a startup, you face a lot of risk. Even
Yeah.
when you're big, you still face a lot of risk and increased competition. You never want to get the mindset, I'm too big to fail,
Yeah.
or I mean, that's okay. We're good now. You're
Yeah,
not good.
I've been since I'm working on my startup now, like besides the
Hmm.
podcast, like people are like, "You're 15. What are you gonna do for me?" What would you like say to them? Like, 'cause like I personally like I don't tell them like straight up I have no experience, which I have a little experience, but not
Hmm.
to like professional level, 'cause I'm like watching YouTube videos, trying to do this, trying to do that. What would you tell
Hmm.
someone that's like, "Oh, I'll just get someone better to do this. You're 15. What can you do for me?"
Hmm. Well, I would say, well, go into your example.
Yeah.
My experience and just talking to people in general, 20, 30, 50, 60 year olds, or even
Yeah.
sometimes actually 80-year-old people who want to pass down their business to someone else,
Yeah.
um, is that this high school bracket is the prime time to hire talent. Um, yeah, to your point, like, yeah, we don't have that many experiences,
Yeah.
but that is kind of the asset, not gonna lie. And what I mean by that is, well, here's what I kind of tell is that you can hire someone with lots of experience, but with more experience comes a more kind of this I'm better than you mindset, or I've done this a million times before mindset.
Yeah.
So that kind of kills innovation in a way.
Yeah.
You always kind of want to be asking the big whys. You want to be that annoying 3 year old being asking, why am I doing this?
Mm.
When someone has a lot of experience and they think they know it all, um, they generally just follow the traditional path. And like you're not going anywhere with that. One something
Yeah.
that works now, tomorrow it literally won't work. And that's like the biggest down to earth example I can give them is marketing. It's an ever-changing thing.
Yeah.
You never can say I'm good at it. You're never going to be good at it. So to just at one point being like, oh, I'm 15, I have no experience, that is the point.
Yeah.
You have, because you have no experience, you have that mindset to learn, and that's exactly what you're doing.
Yeah.
And that's what allows you
100%.
to be better than like a 20 or 30-year old.
Yeah.
They think they like taking a business class, they graduated with this diploma, they worked in these industries, that all of a sudden they're experts in this topic. And within business as a whole, you're never an expert. It's always once again ever changing. It moves very quickly.
Yeah.
And 15 and high schoolers, they're great at that because
Yeah.
for one, they're always pushed to learn. Um, right? They're under the parental control, so they can't really be, so they're always kind of under scrutiny by their parents in a way, kind of like that always like board of directors are always after you and pushing for key metrics.
Yeah.
So they have that willingness to learn because they're always now under pressure. But at the same time, because they have no experience, they see it all. They give this advice from this person, this advice that contradicts that advice, but they get all the advice.
Yeah.
And because how open they are to learn and how much they want these experiences and how much they're pushed to learn by their parents, their teachers, and they're not really independent, all that independent yet, that is exactly what will make their company successful because
Yeah.
like they have that willingness to learn. Um, and like literally, like if you have no experience, that's why I tell people hire the guy have no experience because they want to learn more than ever and want this more than ever. And like Spotify for intern who thought about this whole Spotify rap thing, that was an intern. A
Yeah.
lot of the innovative things you see now are all done by interns and
Like
people who
Gen
have no
Z's, like
experience.
young people, right? Because
Yeah, exactly. They're at the front lines of everything, and they're at the front lines of the current knowledge out there. So they're kind of like, in a computer sense, the most up-to-date people
yeah.
because they're consistently getting fresh data, consistently getting these new updates, I guess, to their brain about learning things. And you're pretty much getting the best of the best
Yeah.
because, sure, on paper they don't, but the way they're learning and the way and their goals are all situated around what's going to happen and what's going to happen in the future. And that's kind of exactly
Yeah. I
why,
saw
like,
Yeah. I saw this one YouTube video or TikTok a long time ago and I forgot who it was from, but it was like all you need is one yes. And I
yeah,
really think that's important because like this podcast, for example, I was DMing like almost 80 plus people and all I only got like two, three yeses and then
mhm,
like right after that, a couple of people reached out to me like you. So
yeah,
I really do think like all you need is one yes and one podcast or one thing out there for people to like know you and know what you do and don't think like it's a scam. You know what I mean?
yeah. Like, honestly, because the great thing about this is within now you have LinkedIn, you have all these new
Yeah.
platforms out there is that like you meet people who were in and who can relate to you. Like when I saw your post, I was like, well, yeah, because I deal with kind of this stage
Yeah.
of kind of needing people. So I was like, well, I can be your person. I mean, like it's just like an hour of my
Yeah.
time in a way. It's
Yeah.
Friday, so
Thank you,
generally my
man.
schedule
Thank you,
for
of course.
Fridays too are clear. So I was like, I'll just do it.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, so like finance is competitive, right? Like from your
Hmm.
experiences, what separates people who thrive in for finance versus people who are just in it to get by and for the money?
Yeah, for sure. I would say as obviously within my experience, like I work with a team as well and have externs and everything, is the people who are there to just get through are, I guess, less inclined to learn. Um, I wouldn't say that they complain a lot, but they kind of do complain a lot. For like within finance, like once again, the whole story is that it's fast paced. You like it's a lot faster than school can ever possibly be. The numbers are will literally change live in front of you, and you're like, not fun. I have to
Yeah.
restart again. Um, is the people who are just in it for that salary or who are in it because they're kind of forced to be here is just that first of all, going back to what I said like literally within the last
Yeah.
question, they don't really care, honestly. Like they
Yeah.
complain along about like kind of having to work within the nights a lot, having to work outside their schedule.
Yeah.
And they have no passion in the sense that they don't learn. They're very closed-minded. They often just listen to one guy and they deliver advice from that one
Yeah.
person. And I mean, like it works. I mean, like there are people
Yeah.
like that in every career who are just here for that big paycheck or for whatever it is. But in all honesty, like it sets them, you instantly can tell just because they just don't care in the sense that they act like they care, but when you see the advice they're giving, the work that's being produced, it's often just like it's like, how do you not know
Yeah.
this? Or like just do it. Like this is kind of part of it. Well, the people you see that are really passionate, they typically yap a lot. They ask a
Yeah.
lot of questions. They ask you for advice. And though to some they're annoying, how I look at it as that's good if they have that
Yeah,
curiosity.
same. I don't think they're
Exactly.
annoying at all. It's like giving advice, mentorship, which plays a key role in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly. Like literally in finance, like yeah, some people consider annoying. I don't look at them as annoying. The people
Same.
who are passionate are the people who will be your bosses within the next 5 years. And outside of finance, my experience within aviation is exactly true. When I was like in the summer at Canadian Forces Base Trenton, like when you're out there for 15 hours a day going through massive PowerPoints and having pretty much exams the next day, then having to bounce to fly,
Yeah.
it's not stressful in a sense, but it's certainly tiring.
Yeah.
And those who are just there because they want to be there typically are the ones that are held back the most, or who typically kind of who like they can kind of pass, but they definitely take longer to grasp
Yeah.
something, and they typically just are not learning. I would say though they just learn a little bit slower than others
Yeah.
because they don't have that passion. In
Mm.
contrast, like there are people who just went solo within 3 weeks because they just have that passion. And that's exactly the
Yeah.
same for finance. Those people who yap to you the most now, who ask the most questions, and sometimes people would say, "Oh, that's stupid."
No,
Those
I
are the
don't think
same
it's stupid.
people.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like I'm like just ask me anything. Is that 5 years from now? They will be that person you're gonna want who has the most say in that boardroom. They're gonna be that person that
Yeah.
will have
100%.
exactly like literally they yap more. When they yap more, they learn more.
Yeah.
When you yap more, you learn more. And like quite literally, that's how people become
Yeah.
successful. That's how I
Yeah.
haven't like wanted to just resign from everything. It's just because I yap a lot, not
Yeah.
gonna lie.
Honestly, that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing because from people just talking, like you learn a lot of stuff. And as I said earlier, like mentorship, in my opinion, is a key part. Like, because me, like, I'm trying to start, I have no idea. Like, I have little to no experience. And like, I think these conversations are great and people could learn a lot from it because, like, we're almost the same age. And I learned so much about you in this like 20, 30 minute call than I did from like my high school teachers yapping. Like yapping could be a good part. Like it's definitely a good part.
Yeah, like what I tell people, because like I also now instruct like ground school, like I teach a bunch of people. I'm sitting in those exams, proctoring those exams, sometimes marking those exams, is those who yap to me the most after those lessons, who email me, who after the lecture ended come up to me and ask me these questions, are the ones who go on and literally next year I'm expecting one to now be my assistant.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that quite literally are going to be my next instructors, or I'm gonna call them my coworkers
Mm.
because it's literally the more you yap, the more successful you'll be.
Yeah.
Not because it's just because they like your yapping, but it's generally because you learn more, and then the performance really shows that. Like literally, all that yapping people do, and I do, not gonna lie, is how I learned a lot, and it's kind of what keeps like you, for example, like
Yeah.
learning is what keeps me
Yeah.
learning because
I
once
I
again,
really
business
think
is
learning is
everything.
like really good, like especially in like the finance and like business work, because there's a bunch of things you could learn from other people that you yourself like never knew about. So I
Hmm.
just like really think it's like really good. And that's why I created this whole podcast in general to like other students and people teaching like other people lessons. Like this lesson isn't just for me, it's for like other people that's watching, you know? And I
Hmm.
really think it's
Definitely.
important. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Hello, this is future pre-Tom editing the podcast. Something happened with the audio of the video, so I had to record the second, future, and closing, and a little bit of the mid with Daniel on a different day, and I'm so sorry. But you'll see a change in quality in audio, maybe. But yeah, make sure you like and subscribe. All right. So, say I want to start a business, right? How would I get capital for it and like get some venture to start up like since I wanted to start my own business?
Yeah, for sure. So I guess like going back to my previous points, you kind of have to yap your way into a lot of those. No one's kind of like going out there being like, I want to give you money.
Yeah.
And you often need to go out there and go find it. And how you do that, I would start off with is not network. Obviously, you want to be networking within potential investors and whatever, but you don't want to have that get so over in your head and that you just forget about kind of the people in the same situation as you. So I would network with other founders both in Canada and just North America in general. Just because there are many opportunities out there
Yeah.
to pitch, to be in those grants. They just no one ever tells you. And it's kind of like starting a school project, right?
Yeah.
It's like you're in the same boat. So usually like in that group chat, you got people sharing kind of little insights or answers or what's working for them. And that's a great way to kind of learn about these. And the second thing is to find these opportunities is honestly is to spend a lot of time researching. Marketing is pretty poor with all of these for good
Yeah.
reason. Um, so I would spend like dedicate time out of your day to at least research and don't just go on Google being like investors near me or grants near me. Change it up, find different ways to search it. For example, awards or even competitions are all excellent ways to kind of find these different opportunities because necessary simple Google search of investors or grants oftentimes don't actually lead you to anything. For example, within Canada, the government of Canada has this little website that has these grants by the federal government published.
Mm.
And that kind of leads on to my second point is that like once you've found something, like at least
Yeah.
a grant that you can apply for, um, is that even if you miss that deadline, is to continuously keep track of it. They oftentimes they do have newsletters out there. Um, and these things move quickly and they have
Yeah.
the most random timelines, like the middle of April. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, why did you choose the middle of April? Um, so really like even if you missed the deadline now, is to keep track, set a reminder a year from now to check out this grant day and sign up for
Mm.
as many newsletters as possible. Because yeah, half of them are kind of useless to look at.
Yeah.
It's all about getting that one yes, right? So
Yeah.
if they're useless, well, still something value out of
Yeah.
it. And and then once you kind of like find something, right? And it congratulations, like in that pitching stage now, you're able to deliver your presentation.
Yeah.
My tip is to, well, obviously you want to be prepared. So you want to be able to effectively answer kind of why you started, what's your background in, kind of like why you're have some sort of training within what you're doing. So be able to effectively answer those questions very confidently without sounding rehearsed obviously want to get your numbers in.
Yeah.
Numbers are a key metric, but other by that, when you're doing your pitch, it's all about enthusiasm. And in some way, when you go prepare, is that you obviously want to be able to answer the three core questions of why you started, who you are, and stuff, but without sounding rehearsed and overall just remain enthusiastic. The
Mm.
judges or investors, whoever's looking at you there, have one of the worst faces I've ever seen. They look at
Yeah.
you really cold.
Yeah.
Um, they have the most neutral face, and apparently it's their thinking face. But don't let that get to you. Just always be enthusiastic. Um, and kind of don't get concentrated with kind of other people there, because everybody is nervous in a way.
Yeah.
Everybody's making their stats look good, and it kind of going back to kind of what all about yapping, right? Is to well, just even if you're unconfident, look confident, like look
Yeah.
happy. Um, so yeah, network within other founders within your space or just other founders in general. Do a lot of searching on the internet. It's like a gold mine for it and keep track of everything. And just be confident and be very enthusiastic when you're there because you did earn your place if you are in
Yeah.
there pitching. It's not like someone spun a wheel and like congrats, you got it.
Yeah.
But
So
yeah.
many people do are founders and create a bunch of startups. What makes them stand out and like what differentiates the one that succeed and the one that don't succeed? Like, is it worth that thick? Is it time management? Is it doing this, doing that?
hmm Yeah, so I guess what I've noticed a lot within my time in consulting is that those who are generally, I wouldn't say is that they have a better idea necessarily, but those who like kind of really wanted in some way to be a part of that organization kind of weren't forced, right? They're not there for for the application. They aren't there just to write founder in their resume. Is that first of all, it's motivation. When you talk to them, they have a lot of passion and it's kind of like their hobby. Like you see on TikTok, right? How
Yeah.
you got those people who complained about 9 to 5, but yet those are the same people working like 22 hours in a
Yeah.
day. And in the comment section, they're always like, well, at least I enjoy what I do. I'm not having someone hovering over me 24/7. And it's always so what separates kind of the good ones and bad ones is a lot to do within just passion and motivation. Um, it's hard, right? Like it's
Yeah.
hard. Like I know it's hard. Like if you ask anyone, like it's not an easy process.
Yeah.
And they are so motivated that they're very curious. So motivation is one thing, but obviously a motivation you have to lead to action. And then that's
Yeah.
where kind of motivation leads into a lot of action. They're not afraid um, to try something new. They're not afraid to present new ideas to their team or to me. And that's one. They're always continuously searching. And in some way, because they're so passionate and motivated in a way, is that they don't actually they work 24/7. Like they don't actually stop working. They don't
Yeah.
really have that work-life balance in a way is
Yeah.
that this is their life. Um, so that's definitely one. And then I'll guess something for all is a successful one is honestly time management and
Time
leadership.
management. Yeah.
Yeah, because yeah, like it's a
Yeah.
lot of
There's,
work to do, like the
yeah.
work stacks up.
Yeah, because you have to
And
balance like school, you have to balance extracurriculars over like this extracurricular, like building the startup, and like it takes a bunch of time. So personally, how do you manage all of this? Because you are stacked, you have so much stuff that you do. And
mhm,
yeah, do you think it's like marking a check on a calendar or doing a checklist or just
mhm,
like setting up reminders throughout the day?
mhm. Yeah, honestly, I don't when it comes to my time management, I wouldn't say that I'm the biggest motivational speaker on time management. My sleep schedule is not a class. It's not something to be advertising how much sleep I've been getting over the past few weeks. But I feel what kind of works for me is I don't really like looking at calendars. I obviously do have calendars, but the key for me is to spend the least amount of time thinking about stuff.
Hmm.
And I think this as a habit picked up recently um is to always think about the worst in a way, coming from my time in the summer as like training to be a pilot within the Air Force,
Hmm.
is that they always were honing in on me, being like, well, think about as you forgot to do this, or think about the ground crew just forgot to check something, or the guy who was looking at the aircraft yesterday just forgot to check off that box or just
Yeah.
skimmed through it. And because of that, it led me to kind of really boost kind of automation within AI specifically.
Hmm.
Um and to really, what you hear a lot about like second brains and especially
Yeah.
within people who use Notion being like, this is my second brain.
Yeah.
I don't use Notion personally because it takes too long to figure out, and I'm like, I'm not spending
Yeah,
time
same.
on
A couple of
this.
my friends recommended Notion, but I was like, oh, this is too much. I'll just write on a note paper and just put reminders down
Yeah,
throughout the day.
exactly. I'm like, why am I learning a whole new language just to get more organized? I think like I'm not spending my
Yeah,
time learning that.
yeah,
So my personal advice for time, well, how I do my time management is I choose something that's simple to use. The simpler it is, the better. Because if you're often, especially within like TikTok and IG Reels now, is that people seem to like, I don't know, they seem to like be overloading and overcomplicating just scheduling something. I'm like, why am I
yeah,
going through five different menus on some random site? Is to keep it simple and keep it automated.
mm,
Because time is valuable.
yeah,
You hear you hear a lot is that time is money. To me, I look at it as my time is like accomplishments in a way. Like time can be used to do something a little bit
yeah,
more worthwhile than just staring at a calendar all day.
hmm,
So, um, what I have is that I forgot this app, but this app essentially literally plans out my day of AI. So you know how in ChatGPT we give them all like the deadlines and like
yeah,
tasks you need to do, it essentially incorporates that, but puts it into your personal calendar. It's like your own
Mm,
personal assistant.
mm,
Um, and that's kind of what I do. Like a lot of times is that I literally just tell ChatGPT because I'm also not a morning person. So if you ask me
yeah,
to go
same.
think about what to do in my day, I'm like, I don't know, give me a sec.
Yeah,
So I shove into ChatGPT being like, plan out my day. I'm like, let's say like it's a very early morning, about at 4 in the morning, and then I hope I want to get to bed at 12.
mm,
Um, is that these are the tasks I need to do. These are the big three that
yeah.
I need to finish.
Yeah, a lot
These
of
are the
people, yeah, a lot of people say that AI is bad, but I personally think like you could use it to like a good advantage, like planning out your day, like giving you ideas. Like it's like a whole nother brain, as you said. And
mhm,
I personally like go against those people that are like, oh, AI is just if you're lazy, AI is just if you do this. I potentially think like AI, like there's two sides to argue, but like there's positives and negatives to it. But I think like the positives are good for like the future and stuff. And
mhm.
potentially AI maybe might could take over. You never know.
Yeah, exactly. Like exactly what you said. Like people are like AI is there for lazy. And you know, a LinkedIn post you made, I think it was like a week ago, how it was something about hiring how I think it was like was it Bill Gates? It was like something about
Yeah, yeah,
how
yeah. Bill, yeah.
yeah. And I'm like, well, why would I want to spend much of my time just planning and just sitting there imagining
Yeah,
what to do? Like I need to actually go do it in order for it to
yeah,
work and to see if it actually works. So I incorporate a lot of AI, so I just shove it into ChatGPT and let it plan out my day. And obviously, I'll make changes, being like, no, I can't really
yeah,
be filming at like 5 in the morning. I'm like, I will sound terrible. I will sound like I want to get fired in a way. Um, and then within that, I'm like, if I'm good with that, I just on my phone, I can just copy and paste it, and it just makes it automated, and
yeah.
then it's synced into my Google Calendar. So yeah, my time management, I don't really have a strategy. Time blocking is definitely one of them. Set aside
Mm,
time for each task and having timers and consistent breaks.
yeah.
Um, but to really just utilize AI because you kind of want to be lazy for this.
Mm,
You don't want to spend a lot of time just imagining. Like imagining is good, but you want to
yeah,
have leave more time to actually go turn that into tangible action. So use AI basically
yeah,
for time management.
yeah.
Um, yeah.
That's it. All right, man, we're going into the future and closing. Looking ahead, what's the next big thing you've got and what you're working on?
Yeah, for sure. So I guess the near future. Well, June right now, and is it the end of school for you guys
Yeah, well,
in
school already ended. I know it's different in Canada because
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, like I'm jealous of you guys. You're like, I'm done in May, and I'm like, I'm still here for a month. But yeah, it's June right now. The weather's finally getting nice. Like here in Canada, I spent half my time standing outside and just shoveling my driveway from snow. Um, it's like March and everyone's like, I'm on vacation. I'm like, yeah, I'm digging out my driveway. So school is ending essentially within the next week. It's my last week of classes. So what we have is that I have a bunch of final presentations and then my
Mm,
final exams next week, and then
mm,
pretty much done. So definitely really excited about that. And then what I plan on doing over the summer is from my current things I'm working on right now, I think you're going to see a lot of new announcements within new, I guess, clients. You're going to
mm.
see new technologies being implemented at my current organizations, and you're also going to be seeing more I mean less of like graphic posts, and you're going to be seeing a kind of little hint here is that by you're going to be seeing a little kind of like magazine in a way.
Mm.
um it's going to be comprised a lot about current outlook and trends. So it means like these mini studies in a way, especially within my firm at Alsa Consulting, which essentially is where I yap to people about cars, especially the new
Mm.
car buying process, because it is a big purchase, right?
Yeah,
Like new cars now like 50,000. People
yeah,
don't have 50,000 to just buy around. And a lot of that people, I feel that within cars in general is that people tend to get misled. Like there's a lot of misinformation out there, and I think that
yeah,
it's yeah, like people are telling me like, is it bad if I had to take out a 9-year loan to pay for my first car? I'm like, I think you should maybe find something a little bit cheaper than
Yeah.
get yourself a 9 year loan.
Yeah.
Um, so it's already published a lot about the car buying process into a more centralized place, especially to us, because like I mean you plan on driving, right?
Yeah, I'm almost about to get my license actually, but yeah, I plan
Yeah,
on driving.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then like everyone kind of plans on driving because yeah, North America public transportation isn't the greatest.
Yeah.
Um, it's to kind of publish guides on new car reliability and kind of just facts being like if you're in a 9 year finance loan, you might want to get yourself out of that car before you sign that paperwork. Because
Yeah.
if you're spending 9 years on a loan, it's not a great decision.
Yeah.
And kind of little tips, like for example, I heard dealerships talk about, oh yeah, in your finance term, if you don't like the car within 3 years and still have 6 years left in that loan, you can just trade that car in, and whatever left is on that loan, we'll pay it off. And the truth is, yeah, your dealership isn't that nice. Whatever thing you have left on your loan, it's carried over to your next loan. That's like negative equity.
Mm.
But people never experience that. And then at the same time, they buy cars that are not the best in terms of reliability, and it leads to just it leads often to a lot of stress. So to publish guides within there, and alongside within the Ariston Advisory is also talk about a lot on little tips on starting these ventures organizations, kind of how
Mm.
specifically youth insights on
Yeah.
industries as a whole. Like you hear like JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs talk a lot about insights, but the critical gap once again is for people like us, those
Yeah.
insights aren't that great because they're not really tailored to us.
Yeah.
And a lot's going to be there. So summer's going to be a lot of writing and a lot of publishing these little mini, I guess, sort of
Magazines
interesting
or
to,
no, not newspapers, magazines?
yeah, and I guess they're kind of like magazines. They're kind of like these little like insights, I guess. That's more tailored to us. Um, yeah, and then in terms, and then I guess within the next year now, I think you'll see a lot. What I'm going to be personally working on is a lot more work within politics, I guess, not in terms of debating and like running,
Mm.
but a lot within new initiatives and kind of being part of more of these councils and
Mm.
committees and to lead to a more I guess because I'm in Canada, so I guess
Yeah.
a
It,
Canada that is more youth orientated
yeah.
and a Canada that I that takes more in consideration of what's affecting us specifically within issues affecting youth entrepreneurship, kind of like barriers of entry,
Mm.
especially how we're the future, right? Well, we need to
Yeah.
invest now into our future.
Yeah.
So I guess you'll be seeing a lot of new announcements within there, more towards the fall of
Mm.
2025 and spring of 2026.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah, and all,
yeah,
yeah,
I'll
and all
definitely check
parts.
it out, man. I'll repost, I'll like, and I'll see what you're
Yeah,
up to, man.
yeah. So yeah, a lot of work in terms of both the summer within a lot of getting youth involved and getting setting them up for success, and a lot of working within the government side on eliminating a lot of those barriers within Canada specifically.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, and then I don't know, you might see me add a new organization or business to the list. Don't
That's
know.
nice, man. You're doing really well. Like you're like 16 years old doing all these things. That's like really impressive, man. Like I personally don't think I'll be able to manage all that like with my time management. So you're doing big things, man.
Yeah, a lot of lack of sleep as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good. All right, man. This was really dope. Thanks for keeping it
hmm
real. Daniel, before we wrap up, where can people follow you or find you?
Yeah. Yeah. So they can find me and follow me. Well, there's always my LinkedIn.
Yeah.
There's always that. Like I check my LinkedIn often. So if you have any sort of questions, just hit me up there. Um, I guess like another way to really get in contact with me, just because like my LinkedIn is kind of like my go-to place for like external contacts. Yeah, that's LinkedIn, I guess. So, or if you see me in an event, feel free to say hi. If you are listening this in Canada,
Yeah.
specifically within Toronto, yeah, if you see me at an event, feel free to say hi. But LinkedIn, feel free to reach out and I'll respond to your message pretty
Yeah.
quickly because I'm pretty active on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
But yeah, LinkedIn, please find me on LinkedIn.
Yeah. Big thanks to Daniel for sharing his story and insights on the hustle path. If you're ever feeling like you're too young to start, this proves your point. You don't need to be. You could be like 2 years old starting something. It just matters with the hustle and mindset, and Daniel has all of that. Daniel, thank you for coming, bro. We'll definitely stay
Yeah, no
connected, right?
worries. Yeah, for sure.
All right, man. Thank you. Peace out.